Kent Nilsson, the most talented player in the NHL. Nicknamed the Magic Man, Nilsson scored 658 points in just 553 NHL games. He still holds the Calgary Flames' all-time single-season points record with 131, and he was a key factor in the Edmonton Oilers' Stanley Cup win in 1987. So why is this dazzling virtuoso almost never mentioned among his generation's greatest players? Let's find out with a look back at Kent Nilsson, the Calgary Flames' forgotten superstar. Kent Nilsson grew up in a small Swedish village called Nilssons. He idolized local hero Ulf Nilsson, who was no relation. Ulf was 6 years his senior and one of Sweden's all-time legendary players. Although Kent played the game for fun and had no aspirations of ever playing the pro game, he eventually became a dominant force in the Swedish Elite League. In fact, he set the single-season record for most points by a junior-age player with 53 points in 36 games with Djurgården. The NHL's Atlanta Flames chose Kent Nilsson 64th overall in the 1976 amateur draft. Flames GM Cliff Fletcher had attempted to draft Kent a year earlier, but the league had no record of him, so the pick was voided. Nilsson attended the Flames' 1976 training camp, but opted to begin his North American adventure with the World Hockey Association's Winnipeg Jets in 1977-78. There he joined Ulf Nilsson, Anders Hedberg, and many other Swedish countrymen on what was considered to be the greatest team in league history. Kent Nilsson was named WHA Rookie of the Year. The Jets won the Avco Cup championship that year and the next, with Nilsson contributing 2 107-point seasons. He was also awarded the WHA's version of the Lady Byng Award in 1979, the WHA's last year of existence.
They were clapping and stomping. Now the puck back in the Oilers' zone. Meal out to the right corner, plays it around behind, is centered in front. They shoot, they score! Nilsson!
The terms of the 1979 NHL-WHA merger limited the Jets and other WHA teams to protecting just 2 skaters and 2 goaltenders. Meanwhile, WHA players who were previously property of the NHL had their rights reverted back to their former NHL clubs. Jets GM John Ferguson surprised many observers by protecting Morris Lukowich and defenseman Scott Campbell while allowing Nilsson to skate to the Atlanta Flames. But Ferguson raved to Cliff Fletcher about Nilsson's abilities, saying, quote, he was the purest natural talent he had ever seen. But, he added, he'll drive you absolutely nuts. Soon, Fletcher would understand the double-edged sword that was Kent Nilsson. Nilsson made an immediate impact in Atlanta, scoring 40 goals and 53 assists for 93 points in 1979-80. Although he played much of the year out of position as a right wing, Nilsson was named to the mid-season NHL All-Star team. The Flames moved to Calgary in 1980, and Nilsson lit up the Stampede Corral 1980-81, scoring 49 goals and adding 82 assists. His 131 points ranked him third in the NHL behind only Wayne Gretzky and Marcel Dion. By now, he had earned the nickname Magic Man, as fans, foes, and teammates alike marveled at his all-world skill level.
Kent Nilsson.
Skill-wise, he might have been the most skilled hockey player I ever saw in my entire career.
My favorite line from my father was Kent Nilsson can stop on a dime and give you change, so he had unbelievable skills.
He had a dimension to him that's hard to find in the game today.
Because Kent had sheer speed and quick hands and stick handling. Probably one of the most talented guys that I've ever seen dance with a puck.
He could do things with the puck at speed that other guys couldn't quite do in that day and era.
Puck skill, shot, size. When he wanted the puck, it was his puck.
A couple of sequences stand out. He was challenged by the producer, you've heard the story, to see if he could hit a crossbar from center ice, and there were 5 pucks, and he hit it with the first puck and skated off the ice.
Aiming for the crossbar. I don't want to put any extra pressure on, but he is ready.
While Nilsson was productive and entertaining, his lackadaisical approach to the game, especially defensively, began to draw concerns. The Flames reached the 1981 Stanley Cup semifinals against the Minnesota North Stars, but were bounced in 6 games. Nilsson compiled a pedestrian 12 points in 14 games. The lack of postseason success became a big part of Nilsson's legacy with the Flames. Toronto Globe and Mail columnist Al Strachan summed it up by saying, quote, "Until Kent Nilsson starts to play as if he cared, whether the team wins or not, especially in the tough games, the Flames can't go all the way." The same pattern would follow Nilsson over the next 4 years in Calgary. Tremendous productivity, inconsistent effort, and an early playoff exit for the Flames. In all, Nilsson would score just 4 goals in 33 postseason games with the Flames franchise. After another first-round playoff exit in 1985, Cliff Fletcher finally gave up on Nilsson and traded him to the Minnesota North Stars for a pair of second-round draft picks, one in 1985 and one in 1987. With Nilsson coming off a 99-point campaign, this deal seemed to be in Minnesota's favor, but it turned out to be one of the greatest steals in NHL history for the Flames. With that second pick in 1985, the Flames chose Joe Nieuwendyk, who would go on to be the best player from that draft, racking up over 1,100 points and 3 Stanley Cups in a 20-year career. To make matters even more impressive for the Flames, they reached the Stanley Cup Finals without Nilsson in 1986 and won the Cup in 1989. Of course, the impact of the trade didn't end there. The Minnesota North Stars would since move to Dallas and become the Dallas Stars. In 1995, the Flames traded Nieuwendyk to Dallas in exchange for Corey Millen and Jerome Iginla. Iginla spent 15 seasons in Calgary and, like Nieuwendyk, would go on to score over 500 goals in a Hall of Fame career. So Kent Nilsson's legacy in Calgary includes 2 of the franchise's all-time greatest players and a Stanley Cup. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, Nilsson was unhappy playing for the North Stars, but did show flashes of brilliance while posting 106 points in 105 games.
Back in, but Brown stops it to Olczak over the line. His pass broken up. Here's the lead for Nilsson. He's in. A breakaway. Kent Nilsson in alone. The shot. He scores! Kent Magic Nilsson had a breakaway from center ice in. There aren't many in the league more adept at working with open ice than Kent Nilsson. It's 5-3 Minnesota.
Like the Flames, though, the North Stars tired of Nilsson's defensive lapses and indifferent effort, and he was dealt to the Edmonton Oilers late in the 1986-87 season. Nilsson was slotted as the center of the Oilers' second line, flanked by Mark Messier and Glenn Anderson, on a team now considered to be one of the greatest of all time. Nilsson played well, scored 19 points in 21 postseason games as the Oilers rolled past the Philadelphia Flyers to win the 1987 Stanley Cup. In 1987, Nilsson declined an offer to return to Edmonton and embarked on a 7-year European odyssey that saw him dominate competition in Italy, Switzerland, Sweden, and Austria. In 1995, at the age of 37, he attempted a comeback with the Edmonton Oilers but was released after 6 games. Post-career, Nilsson continued as a scout for Edmonton and then the Florida Panthers. And he serves as a part-time caddy for his girlfriend, LPGA legend Helene Alfredsson, on the LPGA Senior Tour. His son, Robert Nilsson, was a first-round NHL pick of the New York Islanders, who went on to play 3 seasons in Edmonton. Despite his significant achievements, Nilsson is doomed in the eyes of some to be a perpetual disappointment. And that's a curse, of course, that afflicts only the most gifted. Reflecting honestly on his career, particularly his inconsistent intensity level, Kent Nilsson says, "That was a talent I didn't have. Talent is stick handling and playmaking, but also you have to have the talent of drive. And maybe that was a talent I didn't have."
Greenard is free at left point. Rangers stay in the box. Reinhardt shot. Save! Score! Kent Nilsson gets his hat trick.
This is my dog Checkers. She's 21, and I owe it all to the farmer's dog. Checkers is my companion, my buddy, my partner. She stole my heart the first time we locked eyes. She looked at me and I looked at her, and that was it. She came home with me. We've been through a lot together. She's been there through the thick and thin. She's my little ray of sunshine. People see Checkers and they are amazed how well she's doing at her advanced age, and I tell them all it's the farmer's dog. Without it, I truly don't believe she'd be here today. About 5 years ago,